Welcome back, everyone. Time for our viewer outrage segment. President Obama is set to give a speech tonight on the Iraq exit strategy, but it seems the economy is really what voters want to hear about these days. Republicans continue to oppose any further stimulus suggested by Democrats and support extension of the Bush tax cuts. So we're asking here, is gridlock killing the economy? Here's what you said. Kay says it is not gridlock that is stalling the economy, is the policy of this administration that really is to blame. Joining us right now to discuss, Thea Lee, Deputy Chief of Staff at the AFL-CIO, and Jim Pethokoukis, money and politics columnist at Reuters Breaking Views and a CNBC contributor. Good to see both you guys. I'll ask Thea first. Tell us why, and I'm pretty sure you're going to come out on this side of the equation. Kay is wrong.
Kay is totally wrong. Gridlock is bad for the economy. It's bad for the country because by its nature, gridlock is about inaction and it's about obstruction.
The opposition for at least temporarily extending those Bush tax cuts. Now, listen, permanently extending them would be much better, but if all you can get is temporarily extending them, that would be okay because letting them expire would be horrific.
But wait a second, Jimmy. Let's say, look, if the Republicans say we want all of them to go through, and the Democrats say we only want part of them to go through, then gridlock to me means none of them are going to go through, and that's not exactly where Thea's going. But Thea's principle
that's not what she's talking about.
Is important here, is it not?
Well, that's how she's talking about. I mean, I'm sure she would like to see those Bush tax cuts, probably expire. Certainly the ones on the ones on upper income earners. And I think what you have to wonder about is moving from 2010 to 2011, assuming that you're going to get big gains by the Republicans. Are we going to face a post '94 scenario where you saw the president move to the center and triangulate, or are you going to see gridlock and you'll see nothing done for the next 2 years, no lower corporate income taxes or anything like that?
Well, let's be honest here, Thea. I mean, isn't this really what side of the equation you're on? If you're a political conservative, right now you're saying, okay, gridlock perhaps is good in that you're not getting some of the Obama policies put through. Or you might say gridlock's bad because you want the extension of the Bush tax cuts. So to a certain extent, this is really going to come down to what one personally wants to see come out of Washington.
Well, sure. I think people like gridlock when it's blocking an agenda they don't agree with, and they don't like it when it blocks a good agenda. But I think what people really need to do right now, because we are in a crisis, is to put their own kind of petty partisan politics behind them, because we need to work together. And what we need to do in terms of the tax cuts, I agree that we need to get rid of the tax cuts for the wealthy. We can't afford it. We have a big deficit problem over the long term, and we need to figure out how we're going to fund all the services that we need to provide.
Can you tell me one thing that the president has proposed or the Republicans are blocking that you think would substantially change the economic picture or substantially bring down unemployment?
Well, sure, there's a whole series of them. There's been a series of jobs bills that Republicans have voted against over and over again.
So you think those are game changers?
The small business tax relief, the unemployment insurance extension that would give health care and unemployment benefits to people who've been out of work for a long time.
These are incremental.
The state and local fiscal relief, which would have kept a lot of teachers and firefighters and police in their jobs.
And prevent states from making the long-term changes they need to make to be sustainable. That's
exactly
what that would do.
Well, the infrastructure spending, which was part of the Democratic bill that Republicans voted against, is about investing in our future.
The point is there has been no gridlock. That we've had 2 years of passing this sweeping agenda from stimulus to financial reform to health care, and it's that lack of gridlock which is causing uncertainty, which is dragging down the economy, which is the point that you don't grasp.
And the last bill that the Republicans blocked
go talk to
was
CEO of Intel.
the safety
go talk
and
to
health
any kind
bill
of CEOs.
For the 9/11 first responders and the people whose health has been damaged by 9/11. And the Republicans voted against that bill, even though they agreed with the substance of it. And I think that is unconscionable.
That's a game-changing economic bill, right?
No, but that is an evidence of how the Republican Party has not been putting the interests of the country at the top of their list, but have been just looking to block the Obama agenda.
Well, let me ask Thea. Thea, I want to ask you this. Laura Tyson wrote an op-ed piece in the paper yesterday. She wants a new second stimulus package, a big one. Paul Krugman told Trish yesterday that he wants a big new stimulus spending package. Now, where do you come out on that? Do you believe that the administration is going to prepare a kind of September or October surprise, and we're going to have another sort of panic September, October stimulus package?
Well, I don't know what the administration is going to do, but I will tell you as an economist that it is absolutely indicated that we need more stimulus, we need more infrastructure investment. These are things that are good for the country. We have bridges and highways and schools that are falling apart, and we need people who need jobs. It's just common sense. We need to put the people who need jobs together with the work that needs to be done, and I'm all for it.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, as far as if we're going to get another surprise, I think panicky politicians and desperate politicians will do desperate things, and now it looks more and more like, you know, Democrats may lose 50+ House seats, and maybe, I think you've been following this, Larry, may lose the Senate. I think in those scenarios, I think it's anything can happen time.
So Gridlock will stop another stimulus package, Jimmy. That's what you're saying.
I think absolutely. It's not about substance anymore. It's all about headlines and politics.
In which case, you could argue here that gridlock is very good for the economy because perhaps we can't afford another stimulus plan right now.
I think we can't afford not to do another stimulus plan.
We can't afford more of the kind of stimulus plan we've already had. We can't afford another one of those.
I would argue that.
All right, guys, thank you so much.
Gridlock is good when it stops spending.
Exactly.
Gridlock is bad when it stops tax cuts. So I'm sort of hoisted on my own petard.